Hey everybody, Rob Maurer here, and today we are talking about Tesla's production status. We have an update here after a confusing few days of back and forth with local, state, and federal governments. Tesla has issued some clarification after hours today, announcing that in Fremont, they will be temporarily suspending production by the end of day Monday, March 23rd. With this news in after hours trading today, Tesla's down currently about 7% to right around $400 per share, after being up 18% on the day today. In their operational update, Tesla says, quote, "In the past few days, we have met with local, state, and federal officials. We have followed and are continuing to follow all legal directions and safety guidelines with respect to the operations of our facilities and have honored the federal government's direction to continue operating. Despite taking all known health precautions, continued operations in certain locations has caused challenges for our employees, their families, and our suppliers. As such, we have decided to temporarily suspend production at our factory in Fremont from the end of day March 23rd, which will allow an orderly shutdown. Basic operations will continue in order to support our vehicle and energy service operations and charging infrastructure as directed by the local, state, and federal authorities. Our factory in New York will temporarily suspend production as well, except for those parts and supplies necessary for service, infrastructure, and critical supply chains. Operations of our other facilities will continue, including Nevada and our service and supercharging network." End quote. A couple of other updates here from Tesla, the first of which is around what Tesla calls touchless delivery. So leveraging their software capability and over-the-air capability, Tesla has developed a process to allow a person that has placed an order ready for delivery to actually take delivery of that vehicle without coming into contact with a person from Tesla. Tesla simply leaves the papers that they need to sign in the vehicle with the drop-off location on site for those papers. Tesla then also reiterated their strong cash position, noting that at the end of Q4 they had $6.3 billion in cash. They raised another $2.3 here a few weeks ago, great timing. And then also noting that they have additional credit lines available worth about $3 billion. So they say, quote, "We believe this level of liquidity is sufficient to successfully navigate an extended period of uncertainty." End quote. Okay, so we don't know how long this production suspension will last for. This move follows GM, Ford, and Fiat Chrysler all suspending production as well. Right now, that production has been suspended until at least March 30th, and then reevaluated on a week-to-week basis going forward. But you have to remember the trend that we're on here. Things continue to get more and more locked down. We saw this even with the other automakers where they were going to go down to one shift, and then within the span of 24 hours, okay, they decided to completely suspend production, and then pretty similar action from Tesla here, going from continued production down to, okay, 25% workforce, down to now suspension. And broadly speaking, I don't see that trend reversing as of yet. I think things continue to get more and more locked down over the next week to 2 weeks. I think it's almost a certainty that over that period of time, we see a huge spike in cases as testing becomes more robust and as the virus continues to spread. And unfortunately, we're starting to get to the point now where the death count is going to spike as well. I think if this shutdown isn't technically mandated right now by the government, the optics of reopening in the face of those counts rising dramatically over the next 2 weeks are pretty poor and make it extremely unlikely. Plus, the quarantine times are generally recommended as 14 days. So to have a shutdown less than that amount of time doesn't really make any sense. So I think absolute minimum here for Tesla in Fremont and for the Gigafactory in New York is a 2-week shutdown, and probably longer than that. Now, Tesla did say Gigafactory 1 in Nevada will remain open at this time. So that's a good thing. Tesla can produce batteries and packs there for vehicles, as well as for Tesla Energy. So even if there's not necessarily vehicles for those batteries to go into, Tesla still has that other product line, and historically that has been supply constrained due to the battery needs of the automotive business. So that is a positive for Tesla right now, but again, things continue to get more and more locked down. So it's not like we can just count on Gigafactory 1 remaining open for this entire period of time. That certainly also has risk of closure, though obviously much less risk because it is more isolated in Sparks, Nevada than Fremont, California, or Buffalo, New York. The other positive here is Gigafactory Shanghai. This is a good time for that to be ramping up production, obviously. Good time for Tesla to be more globalized in their production, distribute their risk for the case of events like this. So while production numbers obviously aren't going to be super high out of Gigafactory Shanghai right now, at least it is something, and at least Tesla can continue that production ramp during this period of time. And right on schedule as I'm recording this, Elon did tweet about China saying, quote, "China is operating normally across hundreds of suppliers and all of Tesla Shanghai," end quote. So not everything is bad news. The other small positives, I guess if you want to look at it that way, that I would maybe add to this, there could be a small free cash flow benefit from Tesla stopping production now at the end of the quarter. Usually that end of quarter production can't actually be delivered in the same quarter. That puts pressure on your free cash flow. So this could actually lower the spread between produced vehicles and delivered vehicles, helping free cash flow for Q1. But of course, that's really just an accounting and timeline thing. The negative impact of that would be felt then in Q2. The other small positive, if you want to look at it that way, is that Tesla could have taken this opportunity to update their annual guidance, which again, remember, was to comfortably exceed 500,000 units delivered for the year. So while they didn't reiterate that, at least they didn't change it. The other thing I want to mention here is on the cash flow. So Tesla's cash balance is in a really good spot. They've got a long runway. This isn't something that I anticipate causing any sort of bankruptcy risk to Tesla. Pierre Ferragu of New Street Research, one of the analysts that I had on the podcast a few weeks back, agrees. Yesterday on Twitter, he said, quote, "As many asked, if Fremont closes, Tesla could burn $1.5 billion in working capital in the first 3 months and burn $600 million per quarter. Tesla has $8 billion at hand, so even if the nonsensical excessive sheriff order is enforced, Tesla is not at risk. We will all get our Cybertruck," end quote. So the US will get through this, the world will get through this, Tesla will get through this, but situations like this, if you've ever worked anywhere close to a supply chain, you know that unplanned downtime wreaks havoc and can take a long time to get properly sorted through. So this is a messy situation. I don't want to sugarcoat this. Long term, no change. I think things look as good as ever, but short term, I expect more continued volatility. So that will do it for today. As always, thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Tesla Podcast. And I'll see you tomorrow for the Friday, March 20th episode of Tesla Daily. Thank you.